Hello receiving students, ATs and receiving teachers. Thank you, take your seat. Receiving students and ATs, in our previous lesson we looked at range and mode. Now to recap what we have learned or to understand more on range and mode, I have an exercise that I'd like us to complete in this first 5 minutes of the lesson. The exercise is on the board. I'd like everybody to look at the board. This data that has been collected in grade 8A, I would like you to use this data and find the range and mode. So I'd like you to do that. Find the range and mode of this data here. Receiving students, using this data, I'd like you to find the range and mode. You can discuss that in your groups. It's just a revision exercise. Students, you have last 2 minutes remaining. 1 minute gone. You have last 2 minutes. Ben got the answer. Got the answer. Got the answer. You got last 1 minute before we check the answers. Last 1 minute. You should apply those basic steps which were uh, which we looked at in our previous lesson, basic steps on how to find range and mode. When got the answer? Got the answer ready? Someone? Okay. Brent, ready for the range? Give the range. Okay. Have we found the mode? Put the mode already?
4.
Okay, Pove, are you ready to give the answer? Mode. You give the mode. Okay. Receiving students, I hope you have found the answer. Let's check the answer. I'll have Grant. Grant, can you give us the range for this data?
The range is 5.
Class, Grant says that the range for this data is 5. Do you agree with that? Yes. Okay. Yes, the range is 5. The highest number of children 6 and the lowest number of children is 1. So the range is 5. Kove, can you give us the mode? What is the mode?
4.
Class, do you agree with that? The mode is 4. Do you agree with the answer? Yes. Okay. So the mode is 4 and the range is 5. Now this is the original data that was collected. We use this data, we also organize this original data in a table form. From this original data, if we say that the range is 5 and mode is 4, what about this table? Is the range still the same? Okay, the range is still the same. And the mode? The mode is still also the same. The mode is also 4 and the range is 5. So, in our previous lesson, we used this table to find the mode and range. Now, in this lesson of the first 5 minutes for a revision, we are using the original data to find the mode and range. The answer is still the same. However you do it in this way or this way, you still come up to the same answer. It's the data that is organized. How the data is organized. This is organized in table and this is been organized scattered. It has been scattered as it has been recorded here. So this data is scattered and this data is being organized in the table. Now, our today's lesson, we will look at median. But before we go to the lesson for today, I'd like to introduce you the topic and strand and the substrand. The strand for this lesson is change in data, substrand, statistics, learning outcome, interpret information presented statistically, and the lesson objectives, measure median, identify methods and steps, and define what is median. So those are the lesson objectives. The lesson topic for today is on median. Now class, on the screen I have an example of data that we have used in our previous lesson. So I'd like us to look at the screen. In our previous lesson, using that same example, we found the range and mode of Michael's mark. Now we are going to find the median. Look at the median. What is the median for Michael's mark? I'd like you to look at the example there. And the next example that I will show you is the solution to that question. So it is very important for you to make note and study how I got the median or how median is found. So look at that example. How to find median? I've indicated steps there. Step A, you put the scores in order of sizes from smallest score to the biggest score. And then B, you find the middle score or median by crossing from both sides. So in that example, the median is 85. To understand more on median, let us look at the definition or meaning of what median is. Median is the middle score listed in order of sizes. So if you can think back to Michael's example, those scores which have been given were put in order of sizes, and second step, we found the median score or the middle score. Some additional notes that you must consider when you are finding median. I'd like you to look at the screen. There are 3 points or 3 notes there. Odd numbers of scores, 1 median, middle score. When you come across to scores which have odd number of datas, you must always remember that there is always 1 middle scores. Like Michael's score, there are 9 scores, and there was 1 middle score only. So odd number of scores, there is always 1 median or 1 middle score. Sometimes you come across to finding 2 middle scores. Not all the time the middle scores are 1. You will come across that sometimes there will be 2 middle scores. So when you come across to even number of scores, you must know that there are 2 middle scores. It's not always 1 middle score. Sometimes you will come across that there are 2 middle scores. And if you come across to scores, even number of scores which have 2 middle scores, to find the median, you add those 2 middle scores and divide by 2. In other words, the median is the average of the middle 2 scores. So whatever 2 middle scores that you come across to, you add them, get the sum of it, and divide by 2. Receiving students and ATs, I hope you have copied the notes which were given on the screen. Now we will move to our activity. And the strategy that we will be using is group work. Receiving teacher. Our activity 1, there are 2 activities. Activity 1, find the median. The activity 1, find the median of the number of children in the family from the table. So The table is given there. That is the table that we will use to find the median. We used that same table in our previous lesson to find the range and mode. Now we are going to use that same table to find the median. Remember, median is the middle score in order of sizes. In this activity 1, I'm giving you two options. You can either use the table or also the original data. I have also the original data here. You can also use this to find the median, or you can also use the table. The same information is being given on the table and on this chart here. So you choose which one to use to find the median. Our activity 2. Activity 2 is on the screen. Receiving teacher, I'd like you to copy down that activity 2 while I explain the activities for model students. Okay, model class, you have two activities on your table, activity 1 and activity 2. In your groups, I'd like you to answer those. Activity 1, which have a table on it at the back. If you look at activity 1, the table is at the back of the paper. You can also use that table. You can also use this table or use this data here to find the median. Activity 2 is also on your paper there. So I'd like you to start off doing those two activities. Remember, don't forget to use the rules which I have just explained. Yes. Yes. It's, no, frequency. You don't look at frequency. The score set. You see the same. No. Decimal place. Yeah, it can be. But you find them according to this. There's no decimal number. You're missing that. Okay, that's what I told you. You can either use the table or this. You see, how many one here? How many students have one? How many students have one child in the family? How many students have two? Only two children. Only two children. You know, most part. Five children. So uniform. Okay, one. Okay, five. Five. Then we got two plus. That's two, and we say you, and then your brother or sister, two in the family. So, how many children? How many students have three children in their family? 7. So, namin lo disla 30 plus begini 3 plus students. They have 7 children. They have 3 children. 7 of. Receiving students and ATs, I'd like to have your attention. Okay. I can see that some of you are having difficulties to find the median. I'll give you, I'll start off with an example and I'd like you to complete it. Okay, let us look at this data here. These two data here, which is been presented in the table or on the table, and this one here. So, to find median, what is the first step? We put the scores in order of sizes, which is from smallest to the biggest. So, look at this data. Which score is the smallest? 1. Okay, you can see how many times 1 appear in this data? 1 time only. 2. How many times does 2 appear in this data here? 5. So, 2, 3, how many times? 7. If you look at this data here, 3, let's count 3, how many times here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So that's the first step. You have to put the scores in order of sizes. After you put the scores in order of sizes, you then cross out from both sides. And remember, when you come across to one score in the middle, that is the median. If you come across to 2 scores in the middle, you must know that there are 2 middle scores, so you have to add those 2 middle scores, divide by 2. Whatever answer you get after dividing those 2 middle scores is the median. Receiving students and ATs, I hope that is clear. So I'd like you to work on what I have start off with. So you expand all the scores. Did you put the scores in order of sizes? Okay, next time smallest to the biggest. That's okay. So if you cross, which one? Cross. Continuously. Okay. Got the answer already? First one? I didn't. It's a long looking answer. There's the other method, but there's to go the long one. There's the other way, but because of time, limited time, I cannot proceed on with that. The other method, which is much more simpler. But this is where we start off from, basic. Got the answer already? Four. Got the answer already? First one? I didn't know. It's a long looking answer. There's the other method, but it's just to go along with this the other way, but because of time, limited time, I cannot proceed on with that. The other method, which is much more simpler. But this is where we start off from, basic. Got the answer already? Four. Got the answer already? First one? I didn't know. It's a long looking answer. There's the other method, but it's just to go along with this the other way, but because of time, limited time, I cannot proceed on with that. The other method, which is much more simpler. But this is where we start off from, basic. Got the answer already? Four. Class, I hope you have completed all the activities, the two activities which has been given. So we will check the answers to those two activities. So receiving students, I'd like you to tell your teacher what the answer is. And for the model class, let's correct the answers. Simon, can you give us the answer to activity 1?
The medium is 4.
Simon says the median is 4. Class, do you agree with that? Yes, that's correct. The median is 4. Simon, how did you get that answer? Can you tell the class how you got that answer?
We had 4 by 4 divided by 8, so we get 2.
Come again, Simon.
4 and 4 equals 8, so we divide by 2, gives us 4.
You add 4 and 4. What is that 4 and 4?
Medium. 2 medium.
Okay, the 4 and 4 are the two middle scores. Is it?
Yes.
After you got the two middle scores, you added the two middle scores, and then got the sum of it. And what did you do?
Divide by 2. Divide by 2.
And you got?
4.
Okay. So remember, when you come across two even scores, you must remember that there are always two middle scores. Add the two scores, get the sum of it, and divide it by 2. Whatever answer that you get is the middle score. So that's what Simon has just explained. He did that. He added the two middle scores, got the sum of it, and divided by 2. So the median is 4 for activity 1. Priscilla, can you tell us the answer to activity 2?
The median of the temperature is 20 degrees Celsius.
20 degrees Celsius, okay? How did you get that?
It was the even number in the middle of the scores.
It was the even number. You sure there were even number of scores or odd number of scores?
I mean, the odd number.
Odd number of scores. So you came up with 1.
The answer 20
How many
degrees.
middle score did you come up with?
Only one.
1 middle score. So the median is 20 degrees Celsius. Receiving students, the answer for activity 1 and 2 are on the board. Activity 1, the median is 4, and activity 2, the median is 20 degrees Celsius. Receiving teacher, for more additional exercise or activities, please refer to the reference which is given on the screen. Our key phrase or keyword. Our keyword is median. And our next lesson topic will be on mean. The materials for the next lesson as shown on the screen there. Receiving students and ATs, this has bring us to the end of the lesson. Thank you for your participation. Thank you.